All right. Hope everybody's doing well. Just going into our last regular season game here at home. We all know what's on the line this weekend, and I just want to give a shout out to our fans to make it an amazing day. From the Walk of Champions all the way to the warm-ups to the first third down of the game. They can really have a great impact, and expect them to be at their best, like I expect our team to be at our best as well. So it's been a really good, strong home field advantage for us, and can make things really difficult, for them offensively in particular. So I got a very talented of a roster as we have faced this season in LSU, from the lines of scrimmage to the skill players, both sides of the ball. Their defense has been exceptional all year long. One of the best in college football, and incredibly talented, all three levels. You can go on and on about bragging about the different players that they have, and then offensively, their skill players, their tight end, Trez Green. We haven't seen a guy like him, and the problems that he can pose for you. We got really fast receivers. We experienced what those guys can do and how they can get behind you, create explosive plays when we played them last year. The return game in both a kickoff return and punt return, the most explosive that we have faced this year. They've got an excellent field goal kicker as well, and really good backs. And so the quarterback, Mike Van Buren, he's a guy that, again, we worked really hard, tried to get here to Oklahoma. He signed with Oregon, and then transferred after his first year. Had an opportunity to go with Coach Levy there at Mississippi State. Played well for him, and decided to go to LSU to be the heir apparent there. And has gotten in the game, very mature, got tremendous arm talent, can really hurt you with his legs as well. I think Coach Wilson has done an admirable job, rallying the football team, and had a couple of really good wins. Again, all under the circumstance, not an easy thing to navigate, and they've done it in a great way. And the team's playing and competing at a really hard, high level as well. So, going to be a great challenge for us, and something I know our guys are, really excited about. This is a team in our locker room that loves a challenge. That's kind of who we have become on the season. A team that really relishes the bigger the challenge, the more they respond. So they also have a great respect for how you beat a team. The only chance you got is you got to beat them all week, and the things that it requires to play at a detailed, precise level, and taking care of their bodies and things of that nature too, so you can play physically. So looking forward to the challenge of having LSU coming in here for the first time in the history. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Brent, last week you talked a little bit about the running back depth and it being tested. Xavier was the only guy that we really saw in the game this past Saturday. With him banged up, Torrey banged up, do you anticipate anybody else being able to help you guys in that room or be available for you guys the rest of the season?
Yeah, Taylor Tatum was for the first time healthy and available, so he'll be somebody that will be available, along with obviously Jade Knott.
Mm-hmm. How difficult, I guess, has that been, having only a couple guys really?
Well, again, I just would say this: we've been fortunate enough to win despite that. So the guys that have been available have done a nice job for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brent, we were talking to John last night a little bit just about the offensive struggles, finding rhythm, and he sort of put it all on his shoulders and took a lot of responsibility for it. I was just curious, going into a game as important as this one, what is his leadership?
They're all important, right? Yeah. This is no more important. They're all been very important. He's been great. He doesn't walk around like he's carrying all these heavy burdens. He's an alpha. He's somebody that runs towards that responsibility of what you got to carry, the weight that you have to carry at that position. And I think it brings out, good qualities in him as a leader. The team sees him working every day, and he's got great humility, but he's got great passion and energy at practice. You guys see a very calmed down version. He's incredibly competitive, tough-minded, talking noise, and he's just a lot of fun to be around as a teammate, on the field. But he's serious about his business too. He's got a great blend. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brent, you talked about when Troy Everett went down earlier in the season, him finding a different way to be a leader for this team. What's that looked like since his injury, and how much has he still meant to the locker room?
He has stayed emotionally engaged. He cares greatly about his teammates and this team, and certainly being his last year. So again, a guy that's been very, very invested on the field, off the field. He's got great relationships with everybody in the locker room. So it's a very natural place for him, I would say. I think coaching is in his future. And just a real natural when it comes to, find ways to contribute, from a leadership standpoint. So I think he has a way to make guys laugh when he needs to, but also a voice of reason when it's time to buckle up and, you got to do a little more. I think he's always been a guy that he has no filter, and it's a healthy way, but he has no filter when it comes to saying what's on his spirit, and is well received by his teammates. I think he's gotten better. A couple of years ago, sometimes maybe the delivery needed a little bit of polish, but he's really learned, how to engage his teammates to bring out, good qualities in them. Mm-hmm.
With Reggie missing the first half this weekend, how do you navigate that cheetah spot beyond just leaning on Kendall, and what are the challenges of that for you as a defensive coordinator?
The number one challenge is how to, we have players that can play it. They've got great skill to play that position. So you're looking to what's the easiest transition there, and so we've worked through that from a scheme standpoint and the ability to maybe somebody playing more than one position, because you don't want to compromise, the ability to execute the things that you need to execute within, the game plan. And then the other is just how do you not overwork somebody from a repetition during the course of the week, and have so much, again, tread on the tire. So we've, again, got a good plan for that. And so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and on the running backs, Javonte, I know, has been banged up, but I also realize he may be thinking about keeping his red shirt. As a head coach, how do you deal with that aspect of the game, knowing you got a guy that might can help you, but he's looking out for his future? How do you? I mean, it just seems like another element of your job that you got to deal with. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I think good question. I think every case is a case of its own, based on who that person has been and a body of work. So try to navigate that appropriately, just like you would, discipline in the moment, or big discipline issues. We have a set of rules, but again, how you treat everybody, based on, again, maybe if it's a young guy, you give him a little more grace. An older guy, hey man, you should know better. Things like that. So that's really the way you're dealing with it, is based on, again, who they've been since they've been here. And at the end of the day, we have a different environment that's not the player's fault. They have lots of different options now, and so I look at it with that lens as well. Can't blame guys, for wanting a little more of this or that, and looking out for their futures. I don't think it's necessarily a selfish trait, but we've created an environment that has some selfishness to it, and from an environment standpoint. So my job is to make sure that things are not a distraction, and people are contributing and working and showing up, with a diligent, mindset and work ethic, things of that nature. And as long as those things are good, I'm pretty capiche about all of it.
How
Yeah, he's in good standing.
Yeah, Brent, you mentioned after the game on Saturday the winning formula for you guys could include special teams, winning on the margins. So I'm just curious, with that special teams unit, the plays they've been able to make, when did you kind of realize that could be part of the way you
Prior to the season, with so many returning guys, last year there were some things that were really good. We gave up a late in our season, regular season finale at LSU. We had been really good until that happened. I think we were top 5 in the country. And then that happened where we gave up a 90-plus yard kickoff return. But, again, that was year 2 for several players. Year 1 for a bunch of freshmen like Boganowski and Powers and Hardy all played significant roles for us a year ago. And that with all of the other guys just start thinking about the linebacker room and the safety room in particular. And then some of the guys this is year 2 for them, year 3, year 4. Guys really understand. They're hearing the message, buying into the message, seeing the impact through maturity and through some success. So prior to the season was really hopeful, and then we were able to, make ourselves better through the portal, as well, with some of the specialists.
along those lines, with Tate Sandell's named as a finalist for the Luke Rosewell Award, just how neat is that to see just the season he's had?
Yeah, it's been a huge part of our success this year. Proud of him, how he's handled, his success. He's the same guy every day. Really, really high standards. He's actually a great leader, not just by showing up every day and working and things like that, but he's got a big voice. Players really like the things he has to say. He'll stand up and not flinch in front of the team. Just as I told you guys before, he looks at himself just a little guy, but he don't see himself as just a little guy. And so he's got a lot of courage and toughness to him that resonates with the rest of the team.
Brent, every senior day, I'm sure, brings its own emotions, but this 2022 class is the one that you came in with.
Mm-hmm.
How's Saturday going to feel? And what do you remember about some of those conversations where you were trying to keep them committed, and maybe you didn't even know who you were kind of learning about them at the exact same time?
Yeah, it's a group of guys. There's no quit in them. A group of guys that are incredibly close. Their family. Their families are your family. You've gone through just life. The last 4 years with them, and what an honor it is. Incredible men that they've become through a lot of intentional effort and maturity. Just have a great appreciation. There's a football piece, there's a leadership piece, the quality of the humans that they are. So all of those things, I got a lot of admiration and respect and appreciation for them. Saturday's another game, and for me, my message to everybody else that's in the locker room with them is, doing their part to help these guys have an amazing, last regular season, finale game, experience. I think that's really important.
We talked to Kendall Daniels last night. He said coming here was his best decision of his life. How have you seen him embrace that decision and become one of the leaders on your defense?
Yeah, it's really pretty remarkable for a first-year guy to be able to do that. Haven't seen that a lot. He was, an All-American, 4-year starter, and he came here from the moment he got here, and he's somewhere not in the front of the line. And he endeared himself to his teammates through not having a whole lot to say. He had good juice, good energy, but embraced whatever role that we asked him to do, learned multiple positions, busted his butt every single time he had an opportunity to get in there. So there was never any assumption or conversation about, hey man, you're going to be the guy. And then he wasn't the guy, and then he's disappointed, and then you're dealing with coming to see you and things like that. So he just had a mindset: I'm going to get what I earn. I'm going to create opportunity for myself. I got a lot to work on from a language barrier and scheme standpoint, and that's all he's done. Man, he's a country kid, country boy. very, very simple. He loves his family and his fiance and his teammates. He's a really simple guy and loves ball, really natural at it. He earned a lot of respect from the teammates because of how he handled his transition. It's competition, and a guy that has a nice, career on a stat sheet, but he never came in here with a presumptuous mindset, and so I think he endeared himself. I think that's been incredibly important for his success that he's had, and he's going to play this game a long time, and he's had an outstanding year. But his emotion, his energy, his enthusiasm, his friendships that he's worked really hard to create, that's how he's impacted this team. He's a huge part of the synergy because he's got a lot of life to him that he shows up with. He cheers on his teammates for their success, celebrates their success. It's not all about him. And that's a really cool thing to see. When again they've spent a very short amount of time together, but he's got wisdom beyond his years. Again, been a fantastic leader for us and has really been a big part of our success.
Before the season, he said he wishes he had more time with you.
Mm-hmm.
You wish you had more time with Kendall?
Oh yeah, for sure. But I don't see it as okay. The end's coming up here pretty soon. I don't see it that way. This is just the beginning from a relationship standpoint, and he's got family here forever. Relationships are forever. It's not conditional on how well you do or how long you're here. Once they leave, you're always going to be in their corner and supportive and staying in touch, things like that. Mm-hmm.
Second row, Joe Masato. Brent, you've talked a lot about this team being relentless. And what does that mean to you as a coach to have a relentless team? And when, maybe this season, before the season, did you see that sort of click?
It started seeing the signs of it last year through all the dysfunction, of and what that football team faced. There's a nucleus of young guys that are in our locker room that did not flinch. And I know I said that several times, and it doesn't resonate with people when you're not having success, and I get that. But myself and the rest of our staff, we saw the things that are a precursor to having what we see right now. And so everybody sees the success, but they don't see all the things that I'm talking about, behind, closed doors and all the sacrifice and the discipline and the consistency and the messaging, the leadership moments, the defense going over and saying, man, we got your back, and then meaning it and being there and not blaming and pointing fingers and, again, being 1 foot in, things like that. This group of guys were everything but that. And now the fruit is the last thing that you see on the tree. And but the root system has been growing, for the last few years, and we got great people in the locker room. So I'm not surprised. We brought additional. I think that we talked about Kendall, and there's so many guys that you can also put into that, circle that have been tremendous contributors when it comes to the leadership and the team morale and the synergy. You can go on and on and on. But humble guys that like to work, that are relational. So you guys talked to Troy last night. That's who he is, and he builds bridges. John Mateer, somebody that's just like that. The humility of a guy like a Torrey Blaylock as a young freshman phenom. The hunger and the innocence and the competitive spirit of a guy like, Mike Fasusi, I apologize, and or Eddie Pierre-Louis. The same thing. Ryan Fogier don't say a whole lot, but man, he's willing to be led, and he shows up and competes. And Cortland Guillory, he's the exact same, man. He's got this huge personality, but man, an ultimate team guy, humble and tough, and then we talked about Tate Sandell, another guy that's a team guy, man. Hadn't flinched. He's been Boomer Sooner since the moment he signed his contract, and then he's been just a stud when it comes to leading and just being a really good teammate. So, again, foundationally it was here. We brought in, more guys that were like that. Our receivers as a group, led by just shy of 1,000 yards, Isaiah Satenia, low maintenance, high delivery guy, great teammate, and it loves to compete. And it's just, you see him out there and the way he competes and fights for those extra yards and things like that, and shows up every day. So all of those things combined, together, and then our staff has done a really nice job of nurturing that. Mm-hmm.
Touched on the prior relationship you guys have with Van Buren a little bit, but since he's gotten more opportunity with LSU, have you seen him kind of grow this year and grow into his role within
It's hard for me to know all of those things. I just watch things that I've seen on video. You don't have a ton of tape, but he's a guy that throws with great anticipation. Before the receiver's open, he throws them open. He's got great talent as far as his arm talent, and plays with a lot of confidence. And then again, can get out of trouble with his legs. And then so I just watch when he gets in there how guys play hard and things of that nature. So those are the things I see. All of it's just kind of from afar and evaluating it on tape, alone. Mm-hmm.
Brent, it was fascinating, the chess match you and the Missouri coach had on the timeouts with the second field goal and things like that. And it's always fun to talk football with you. And I'm just curious, and when you go into games, do you have a pretty good idea what their fourth down plays are, what you're going to do, or is it a guess match once they get into the game, or how? Can you really come up with what they're doing on fourth down pretty much going into the game?
I mean, there's still again. We got the tape. We got all of the analytics, all of the tendency reports. Like everybody has that. So, where they're at on the field is a big part of it. So nobody has this long Rolodex. So I don't know about chess match. I don't really look at it that way because the coaches aren't making any plays. The players make the calls, good calls, by being physical and great fundamentals and timeliness and communication. That one happened to work out, in our favor. We had timeouts in the pocket, and they're where they were on the field, and you knew the magnitude of, the moment. And so we're fortunate to be able to see what they might have done. It still might have. You don't know for sure what exactly it was, but it was this or this. And so that helps our guys and for us, to get into a call, and they chose to kick a field goal. So it just happened to work out, really well for us. But, everybody knows what you've kind of hung your hat on. Some people will be a little more multiple than others,
What do you think they do about your defense as well?
Yeah, we are too. We're pretty multiple. Mm-hmm.
So we've talked about how good Tate Sandell's been this season. I wonder if he's affecting more than just actually making field goals. What I mean is, are you seeing teams maybe go against their tendencies? There's a couple of times that Missouri, I thought, would go for it on fourth down, maybe around midfield, and they didn't. They punted. I wonder if the threat of him affects teams in terms of maybe not taking that risk and putting you guys in scoring range. Are you seeing teams going against their tendencies?
Yeah, I think if you have somebody that can't make field goals and the other team can, I think you take all the information in it and you put together, hey man, this is how you see situationally it going this week. And I can't testify to the fact of whether or not that had to do anything for them or not. But you take in all the information. It's all very important. What they can and can't do, what they're good at, what they're not good at. And then you have a game plan that's tailored, in subtle ways, but important ways, to that.
So if you have to go against a guy who's that good, would that possibly affect you on a fourth down route?
Well, I don't know. My job is to keep them guessing. So, but yeah, you take in all the information. We're playing a team this week that can make all the field goals, and their specialists are really good. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Brent, you made the decision to call this defense and coach this defense
best defenses in the country, and they've closed out some really big games that have set this team up for a playoff opportunity. When you kind of reflect on the success that side of the ball, what does it mean for you personally to be in this conversation, to play Saturday for this playoff spot?
Well, I mean, you've always put that kind of pressure, on yourself as a coach, that everything rides on, your position or your unit's ability to produce. That's who I've always been, and the staffs that I've been on, hold the same type of philosophy, mindset, attitude. Again, the credit goes to the players. They're the ones that are putting in the time, straining, knocking people back, getting off the ball, chasing, just with incredible passion and pursuit and physicality. And then our staff. I bragged on our staff. It truly is a collaboration from the Sunday when we get together and we wrap up, post-game analysis from last week's game, and then what we got to do together. We literally spend 10 hours together in a staff room every single day, and we're constantly talking ball, situationals, packages, personnel, moments in the game, and I've been in staff rooms where there's not the collaboration, there's not the synergy, there's not the depth of vision and understanding at both the front end and the back end. And we got a great room of coaches, and all the way to game day. Hey, what do you think? Or I'm asking them in person as my mind is churning. So the success is a byproduct of, again, the players and our staff, without question. For me, I wanted the responsibility. I didn't want anyone else in the building to feel the pressure of that, on y'all wrote the stories, and again, look, I'm not, you haven't heard me come up and, I've given statements about where I think things are and what we need to do, and what's the plan to make things better and back to the standards of this university's expectations and so forth. And so I carry the weight of that. I get that. I have clear vision for that, but I didn't want anybody else to have to show up every day and carry that burden. I wanted to carry it. It's my responsibility, and that's, again, something that I've cut my teeth on. That's why I was hired. And so I had confidence in our roster and confidence in our staff, to play at the level that we're playing at. And doesn't mean that it always happens for lots of different reasons, but we got a great group that are bought in and have worked really hard, both player and coach alike. I'm incredibly thankful, for them.
So, obviously, this late into the season, and you're a defensive guru, do you see things, or when you see things that the other offense is doing, what's your communication like with Ben Arbuckle this late to the season? Does he have full reign over the offense, or what's the communication that goes in between you and Ben Arbuckle?
Yeah, it's constant communication. Hey, Ben, they're not going to get another first down in the game. Let's manage it well. I don't want to run every snap. I don't want to throw every snap. Let's convert. Let's stay on the field, And, a lot of times it's literally, hey, the other side of the ball, I put pressure on those coaches, nonstop, and put the same kind of pressure on the offensive coaches. Pressure is to stay on the field, not just not turn it over. Stay on the field, move the ball, create field position, go score. And just like I do on defense, man, this is the drive. I probably say that 8 drives a game. This is the most important drive of the game. And I really feel that, like in the moment. All right, that one's done. All right, the next drive. And or maybe it's, hey, offensive guys, man, that was a hell of a drive right there. They're doing what we asked them to do. Watch them push the pile. Watch them play physical. Let's let's make sure we're telling these guys that's a hell of a job. That's what it looks like, and we need more of that. And of course, I'll do it, but I want them. I want the position coaches and the coordinators. I want them to create that attitude, that confidence, the nurture the momentum. Don't be a bunch of stiffs. This is a passionate, intense, enthusiastic type of game that is very real, and not being rah-rah. Not making stuff up. Celebrate the things that we asked them to do that we said were critical in winning, and you make it a big deal. Go over there and double punch somebody right in the freaking chest because they did what you've been talking about. This is what winning looks like. And so I don't want it always to be me, the lunatic head coach. I want it to be everybody is sharing that passion and the energy. And sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not what you want it to be. And I've just got to, always be mindful of that. And the kids like it when, the coach is having fun too, put their guard down some. But that's what it is. Hey, we're nonstop talking analytics. Hey, you got to go at 1, on 1st and 10 in the drive. And oh man, they're just, they're sitting on it, man. You can get by that guy, or man, they're going to make it hard on you. They're going to run the guy up the field. They're not going to let you get outside on you. It's more inside. So those are all the things without, I know whether there's if I had somebody coming over and telling me constantly what I should or shouldn't do or being captain obvious, I'm not going to like it very much. I'm trying to be in a rhythm. I'm in a mindset. You need to tell me that, hey, man, we are going to go for 2, great. Or they're going to go for 2, great. I get that. But it can really, it can get you out of whack too. You got to there's a fine line, That was a terrible drive. That was exactly opposite of what I just asked for. Sometimes that doesn't help. And so you got to figure out what the delivery, needs to sound like. But, and then handle, people and players accordingly. I hadn't had to say anything to, Grayson Miller because he's been outstanding, but I did on Saturday when he put, we're at midfield and we punt twice and it goes in the end zone. And so now they're like 25, 26-yard punts. We should have considered going for it. And so he had to hear an earful. Next thing you know, we put it inside the 10. I don't think that my motivational and some of my remarks were the reason why he was able to put it inside the 10, but now it's a moment where I can say, see, Grayson can take a butt chewing, and responded the right way. And we talked about that in the team meeting, yesterday. So, but it's, you're constantly collaborating, throughout the course of the week. We go against each other a lot situationally. Those are all very detailed and planned out moments of practice that are all about game day simulation. And so we're constantly talking, okay, they're playing this concept on defense. Hey, these are the things that I don't want to see. These are the things that we've been burnt. So maybe you give them, the videos, things like that, to show them, how to, attack a certain scheme. All right. Y'all have a great Thanksgiving.